This is the shooting Bigfoot. Is about shooting Bigfoot. So this is submitted by witness on October 16th, 2004, but it's from 1941. The moose hunter shoots Bigfoot to death.
To death.
Yeah, approximately 15 miles west of Gypsumville, just southeast of Basket Lake, Manitoba, nearest road number 328. This report is submitted by BFRO member Kurt Nelson and is based on 2 visits to and many phone conversations with the witness. This is it down there. Should I read it? Environment is in thick bush, midday, clear conditions with patchy snow on the ground.
Sure.
At the beginning of May 2003, I took a trip into Manitoba to stay with a man with whom I'd been in telephone contact on and off for about a year. He was interested in Sasquatch. Sasquatch in Manitoba, Canada, that province above western Minnesota and eastern North Dakota, which stretches north along Hudson Bay where polar bears make their living. Which sounds weird, but whenever I look at the Bigfoot map, it is way more over on the east than there is in the Pacific Northwest.
No, I don't know. Are you sure?
Appalachians, it's all down around there. It's there's a lot in the Pacific Northwest, but there's even down into Florida and North Carolina. I guess people have been there for longer. It's
the skunk ape and stuff too, though.
Yeah, that'd be all that shit. It's hundreds of miles of bush laced through with lakes, including the Giants, Lakes Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Winnipegosis. In the winter, it's no place to be without a good plan for keeping warm and fed and out of trouble and the means to carry it out. Blah, blah, blah. The man, Peter, became interested in Sasquatch because he told me he knew for certain they are real and that they live there in Manitoba. He knew this for sure, he said, because he had the chance to look at one up close after he'd shot and killed it. He flipped its hand over with the toe of his boot to have a good look at its palm. It was very large and there were 5 fingers, one a thumb like a man's hand. The following account of the event came mainly from 2 visits I had with Peter. First in May of 2003 when I stayed with him for 3 days, and in September of that year when he put me up again for 2 days. We also talked about the shooting incident several times by phone. Before and since my visits, the word-for-word questions and Peter's answers presented here were mostly from the May visit. Anyway, it happened the first week of November 1941, 62 years ago, when Peter was 17 years old. He'd gone hunting for moose with 2 friends around Basket Lake, a small lake about 15 miles west of Gypsumville, a town near where Peter grew up and has always lived. The 2 friends hunted the east side of Basket Lake. Peter wanted to go to the west side, which he knew was good for moose and elk. There was patchy snow on the ground, and Peter found ambling moose tracks crisscrossing the area, indicating feeding animals. The spotty snow made tracking difficult, but he moved ahead. Sure enough, I did see one in the willows feeding with its head down, and it was a cow moose. No calf. I didn't see a calf and no horns, so I knew it was a cow. At that time, the bulls still have their horns, but in 1941, yet before the major fires, there were bush and willows so thick that you couldn't believe it. So you had to shoot through the willows. You didn't always have an open shot, so take a chance. So I did shoot because I knew take 1 or 2 steps and it would be gone. Where did you shoot? Where did you try to hit her? In the chest. Was she broadside? Pretty well, but not fully broadside. And I did shoot, fired a shot, and walked slowly. And yes, there was a bit of blood on the right side. As it's running, you could see where it sprinkled a little, and it didn't look good. I could see I didn't hit it properly. The bullet deviated from the brush, and I had no choice then, and the blood made it a little easier to track it. There was blood here and there. You could tell you were on the right track. So I tracked her slowly, I'd say for half an hour, but very slowly. And I looked in the willows again and I could see all this hair. So I thought to myself, well, I'll slow you up. And I took a good aim and fired. It disappeared. Looked like I got it. So this guy really doesn't have good shooting etiquette. This guy's just shooting at brown patches through the bush. Looked like I got it. So I walked up to it slowly. It wasn't far, 45 yards only. Because that's about as far as you could see in that stuff, if it was that far. But I took my time because when you approach a big game animal, you have to approach carefully. You carry your gun across your chest with your hand on the breech, ready to fire. If it jumps up at you, you have 1 good shot, point blank. Don't raise the gun to your shoulder, just turn it and pull the trigger. That's the last chance you got, because a big game animal, he gets you, you've had it. So I looked. I could see him, but what the hell is this? Holy buckets. He's lying there and one foot was up. So I nudged him in the foot and slowly walked on this sign, still hanging onto my rifle like I was supposed to. And I picked up the hand with my right foot so to see the bottom. And I walked around and I could see where I hit him in the back, high in the back, between the shoulder blades. He must have been bent over because to look at the moose track and the blood or something, I didn't see a head.
So this is Sasquatch right here. So
I think
holy buckets, he was lying there. One foot was up.
Yeah, he interrupted here, and to find out just how the thing. Oh, this is I think Peter. Peter explained that when he shot the animal, he thought he was looking at the rear end of his moose. Peter's view of the animal, and that given that shot, he tried to put the bullet just above where the anus should be. He said it's the only shot in that situation. Mostly, you wouldn't take that shot, I would say, as a hunter, but this was 60 years ago. The bullet travels above the gut, just under the spine, and up into the chest cavity. The creature had stood with its back to him, apparently had been looking down at the wounded moose's trail because he didn't see its head, the big shoulders and back. He thought he was looking at the moose's rump. His bullet meant to enter and travel just below the moose's backbone, had hit the animal between the shoulder blades, killing it on the spot. And this 1941 vintage 17-year-old who never heard of anything like a Sasquatch looked upon the creature he had slain and wondered and worried and then became frightened, and he got out of there. Do you think it was just an Indian?
Like he killed an Indian?
Yeah.
No.
What did you do then? Did you literally run out of the woods? No, I walked very fast with 3-foot strides. What kind of gun were you using? A 38-55 Winchester. Oh, do you still have that gun? No, in fact, the RCMP man bought it for repairs because the barrel was worn out. An elk is real hard to turn over once it's dead. To turn over to skin it's a lot of work. What about this creature? How big was it? Could you have turned it over? Well, there's a knack, like you say, about turning an animal over. It depends how the brush is, but I always carried a piece of stiff cord, good cord, where you could tie the leg up to a willow tree, and you could roll him over like nothing. So how big was the creature? He was very between, I would say, like I'm 6 feet, and he'd have been 1.5 feet to 2 feet taller than I was, just estimating. What about heaviness? I didn't try, but I could have turned him over, but I've had to cut some willows. You see, it's very hard to estimate the weight when he's covered with hair. I walked around him and thought, holy God, what the heck am I going to do now? If there's any more of these things around, I don't want to be here. And I just got the heck out of there so fast you wouldn't believe it. I don't think I spent more than maybe 8 minutes with them. You've seen the Patterson creature with that turned out to be fake, didn't it?
No, they're still in dispute.
Do you think it looked about like that? Very much so. Well, I can describe his body. He has a big round chest, huge. He's got a big chest, really big. There's no skin showing. No, I didn't see any bare skin except a little on his face. What about the palms? They were bare, and the bottoms of his feet, they were bare, but they weren't white. Let's say he's not a very hygienic creature. He doesn't wash or anything, so his skin is dirty and a little brown, but white like my dirty hands. Not only a little dirty, and heavy fingers and big palms and opposable thumbs. And a big palm, like when I close my hand like this and cover my face. Really, so his palm was proportionally bigger than a human's palm? Yeah, it's longer and deeper, like it's a big palm. What about the foot? Does it match the footprints people have been casting? Absolutely. The foot had 5 toes. So did his coat look warm, his fur coat? Most animals have an underfur, and I didn't notice that on that animal, that he had a short fur underneath. Of course, didn't touch him.
His foot was 15 inches long. Wow.
That's a good one, right? Witnesses always say whenever they talk about it, it was covered in hair. And I think you'd never describe a bear as being covered in hair. You'd say it had fur. So why do people always describe Bigfoot as being covered with hair? It's because it looks like hair. And here he says it looks like hair, not fur. I think that's curious. The northern animal like that has to survive here wouldn't have a coat that was essentially like bears, with a good undercoat that's good and thick. Well, you know what? You're talking about a humanoid animal, but all I can say is it looks like hair, not fur. You know, like a man lets his hair grow scraggly and, long, and that's what it looks like, a hair. That's why I say it's hair, because it looks like hair. It seems like they were maybe arguing a little at that point. And I mean, then he kind of goes on a little more talking about the hair. Um, I need you to comment again about your thinking and not telling anybody about it. I mean, it's a very important point, and it's an obvious question that everybody has. Well, for one, I was very shocked to see this thing, and it was during the war years, World War II. And the thing was, people can be very funny if you talk about something that's out of line. Right away, you're crazy. You're not all there, And I did a lot of thinking myself. I could not place an animal in my brain like that. Was it half human, half ape, or something, or an Indian, or something like that? The thing is, this is just a year or two ago. People were calling me stupid and believing such a thing. You're crazy to believe in those things. Today, never mind 60 years ago. Anyway, and he talks about some Aboriginal people that said they were seeing this thing too, what I shot, from their stories. And it turns out he was hunting illegally. I had no license to hunt for moose. I had no license. I may have had, I don't remember, a deer license, but I didn't. Wasn't fussy about shooting deer because they're a small animal and you don't get very much meat for a day's work. So he was poaching and shooting at black spots in the woods. I mean, he could have just shot at a big Indian dude with long
No. He knows he knows it's a Sasquatch.
Then you'd probably just shut your mouth. Anyway.
That was good.
Yeah, pretty good one, hey?
Yeah. See, if he would have had to look into its eyes, he wouldn't have been able to pull the trigger,
There's this rendition of it, this little picture.
Nice.
We shot Bigfoot in the back. There he is, the old dude. Well, possible Indian killer or possible Bigfoot killer. We don't know for sure. Could be either way. That's a good one, though.